background, but got it. All right, but does anybody know how to get rid of that big black thing that's sitting there?
I don't
No.
see a big black thing. You look fine for our perspective, but
Yeah, things look great, Angie.
What are you seeing,
You do.
Angie?
You
What
look
are you
great.
seeing?
I'm seeing a big black square that's sitting in the middle of my screen, basically.
Huh.
And,
Is that your entryway into the next room?
no, no.
No, I mean,
It
Alice in
says,
Wonderland going through the looking glass.
it says I have a green screen at the bottom. Does that mean something? I don't know.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
You know what? I'm gonna leave and come back.
Why don't you do that? That might work.
That might work.
Reboot. That's always my answer. Reboot.
I don't know how to do this. Well,
I think if you do do your computer shutdown with a restart, I always find that works.
all right. See you later, ladies. Bye.
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 Hope
See
to
you in a
see you
minute.
again sometime.
Okay.
Morning, Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Good morning.
Hi, Linda.
Good morning.
Morning,
Hi,
Carol.
Morning.
I'm back,
There you are.
Is your,
and everybody is here,
and the black box is gone?
and the black box is gone.
Good,
So
good, good.
I have another meeting. I have a class at 10, so I'll be leaving a little bit before 10.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
okay.
working, so I don't know when I'm leaving.
You're our honored guest, Carol, so you're not even required to be here.
I understand, but I just want you to know I'm not bored when I leave. It's just like anything else.
It was nothing we said.
Right.
Okay.
well, it might be, but she's not gonna tell us.
That's right.
It gives her cover.
Yes.
Oh,
Morning, Linda.
hi.
Hi, Annie.
Hi,
Annie.
Hi, Annie. Hi, Linda Burke.
Hi, Linda.
Oh. That was a wonderful presentation on Tuesday night. Anu, and Linda, you both set it up, and I really enjoyed it a lot, especially meeting in person.
I think that made a big difference, but
And Jody was a tremendous speaker.
Yes, she was.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, I was impressed to, she has not sent me the recording yet, but we'll make it available to those who couldn't
Right.
watch. I was impressed that she was repeating the questions, so when people see the
Right.
recording, they will know. And I host on getting all the admit stuff.
No, we
Have
see
any
you and
idea-
hear you.
Do we have any idea how many other people zoomed in from around the country?
No,
No.
I asked them to register, but I think the registration process was loose, so I don't know.
But
I'm
we
sorry I missed it.
know.
I had a local lecture for a board I'm on up here the same night, but I'll look forward to the recording.
Me too.
Well, my favorite story was Linda's story about the Duquesne Club, because I remember the days when we had to walk up the back stairs, and I had no idea that she was the instigator to make that change. I am so impressed.
Well, I got it, the story's actually much more complicated, but what Bill Renner did at that meeting, after people made such a big fuss about the fact that, I came in late and I had to come up another way, and he then came to the next meeting where I had to be at lunch with him, and he went up with me, and he was appalled. So the third meeting, which was a really big meeting, he came over, it was a dinner in the ballroom, and he came over and he said, "Come with me," as we were leaving. And he walked me down the main staircase. And the employees were like flying off the wall.
I bet.
"You can't do this." He said, "Keep going." He just said to me this. And then the next day, he and Jim Pasman was our CFO, called me and said, we got to get this changed and you have to help us. And that's how it went. That's how it all got
I
started.
think
You,
there were multiple experiences simultaneously happen. Maybe it was something in the water that year, Linda, because I also heard a similar story happened to at Westinghouse Electric, I think it was, with and I can't remember whether it was can't remember now whether it was Doreen Boyce or whether it was Sister, what's her name, who was the president of Carlo at the time.
Mr. James
I think
Kelly.
yeah, but had the similar experience of having to be guided through the green hallways, and the president of the Westinghouse board said, "This is ridiculous."
Well,
And,
I had the advantage of that time Bill Renner was also president of the Duquesne Club.
yeah, that helped.
And so that's how I was able to, and we worked it through. We even to getting, he finally said, just admitting women isn't enough. We have to have women members. And that's when the whole process got really exciting.
Yeah.
Although the day of the vote, I must say, I was sitting in my office and my phone rang, and Alfred Hunt used to call me all the time and he never identified himself. He'd just say, this part couldn't go on and on. And it was generally for something inane. But he called me that morning and he said, Miss Burke, I just want you to know I'm not voting for women members.
Hang up.
All right, well, it's 9:04. Let's kick the meeting off. And first of all, from Ann and I want to say welcome to 2023. And I want to personally thank every one of you. We don't thank you enough for this is volunteer work for all of us. And we are all very busy people. And we really do appreciate all the time and energy you put into your activities and efforts for ARCS. We couldn't do this without every one of you on this screen. So I really want to say thank you. Annie, do you want to do roll call?
Yes. Ann Crawford,
Here,
Linda, I just heard, Joanne Patris.
I saw her a minute ago. She was
Okay, yes, I see her. Angie Mayer,
here.
thank you.
And by the way, Mar,
Oh, it's Mar, sorry.
Mar. My daughter's name is Mayer, but mine is
Oh.
Mar.
I hope I can remember that. I wrote it down.
Car, okay? Car, far.
Okay. That'll help me a lot. Thank you. I know Millie Myers is excused. Linda Flom,
Here.
thank you. Becky,
Here.
thank you. Anu,
Yeah.
thank you. Linda Burke,
here,
thank you. Jean Burdick,
Here,
Maria Townsend. Absent. Michelle Zorilla,
Here.
thank you. No, Inez is no longer. Lacey Carroll. Lacey is absent. Beth Wainwright,
Here.
thank you. Carol Stockman,
Here.
thank you. I hope your mom's doing well. And
Thank
Sarah
you.
Stalling that I see. Okay. Madam Presidents, there is a quorum.
Perfect. Thank you. Did everybody have a chance to look at the minutes? I have a couple of comments and I apologize, Annie, I did not have a chance to look at these before last night, so I didn't get to make a couple little edits that I suggest. Under the treasurer's report, the very last couple of sentences I would like to update, so that highlighted section that says, therefore, funds available for new awards is, I would insert the word currently before the 37,000. And then I would scratch the next chapter because we don't know the final number. We didn't know the final number at that meeting, and say, so is currently 37,000, which supports 2 awards. And then add another sentence, we will update this amount with receipts through December to make our final award decision in January.
Award, which supports 2 awards.
Right.
The final decision is in January.
Yes.
All right.
Based,
I was
based,
wondering
based
how to
on-
do that
based
because
on
I
up-
realized
based
we
on
didn't make
updated
the addition.
information. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
And then in the next sentence, and this is not as big of a concept, the collaboration network meeting showed that each chapter operates as opposed to everyone does things differently.
Okay.
Each chapter operates differently.
Thank you.
So that was just more and anybody else have any suggested edits?
I don't have an edit. I just want to make a comment. Since I'm new on this, I just want to thank Annie for highlighting those things that are action items. So thank you.
Yeah, it's helpful.
Oh, all right. I was just wondering, should I be putting this much detail on the treasurer's report? Because we do spend a lot of time on treasurer's report, and we are a financial group. That's, I feel like, our main thing.
I think it's fine.
Okay, thank you.
So do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Madam President, I move that we approve the minutes as amended.
A second?
Second.
Angie?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, very good. Let's see, where are we? So quickly on the president's report, Ian, I'll let you kick off with the operational policies, where we are with that and what we need to do to keep moving this forward.
Thanks, Linda. Boy, I had a like a brain fart there for a minute. Couldn't figure out the word to come in. I included in the packet first, thanks to the individual contributors and the executive committee, because this went out, a number of different times for review, and there were we did have just a couple, minor revisions. When you look at it, you'll see that it's more streamlined in that having all the historical years and things, some we were able to capture, some were not there. So since we'll be reviewing these and seeing what needs to be changed, if anything, every 2 years, we'll just note moving forward the date where at the board meeting where things were reviewed and then approved or adopted. So that's the main change. Some sections, what I tried to do is in each policy, put down a note as to their status, whether there was any change or any revision to help with your review. And where the really, the main change, and my thanks to Joanne and Angie, was really looking very closely at all of the fiscal management or fiscal administration policies, and really reordered them, combined them, and it really flows, I think, much easier and shows the various steps and where things are. So I would ask that you pay particular attention to those. There's one policy that I didn't want to delay this any further, so you'll see it's just there as a placeholder, and that's on our contributions, policies and procedures, because there's so many interconnections or interdependencies between, membership's role, named award donors role, the EAD role, the administrative assistant, finance. So we're going to handle that separately. That'll be coming out in a, in a separate email asking, and I believe I actually did send that out to everybody. I know I did because I got some feedback on the endowment changes, but I'm going to ask Sarah to convene a meeting. It can be by Zoom for the different stakeholders so that we can take a look at that over the next month. And the ask of this committee, the board, is for you to take a look and provide feedback and comments. I would ask that you use the track features motion if you want to propose a change, or you want to put a comment or a question in, and to get them back to me over the next couple of weeks, because my goal is, again, to pull everything together, get it out to the executive committee, and bring everything back to the March board meeting so that we can put this biannual review to bed, and then we'll see where we are in 2025.
And I have a question. This might not be the place for it, and you can certainly tell me that we can discuss it later. But just yesterday, Maria and I were commenting through Slack that we've been asking scholars to attend a lot of extra get-togethers and recruitment events and things like that. We were wondering if we should just make it a policy, or if it's even allowed, I'm not sure, to have stated in there that one of the requirements is that they need to attend at least one of those. That way, it doesn't seem like we're asking all these extra events that they attend where members are present, or Zoom calls, whether in person or at someone's home or not. In the past, I felt like they were more scattered, right? The recruitment events versus now we're having them a little more frequently, and we've had a lot of new asks of the scholars. And so having it as a requirement that they need to attend at least one throughout the duration of their award, at least once in the 3 years that they have their award, I think that would make it a little more streamlined and official, rather than just asking them randomly here and there to attend events. But
no, I think this is the right forum to ask the question. And I'm not sure whether it fits in an existing policy or if it would be a new one, but this is the exact spot to place it. My suggestion is, if it's a new policy, if you could put that in a separate email so that we could start it through the executive committee, and then we could get it out, out to people. If it fits in if you think it fits in an existing policy to make some change, then I would just use the track changes and add a comment.
I think there's just one policy stating that they need to attend the donor appreciation, and then there's the spring event. But if that's one, I think we could just add it into there. That
I think so too.
Yeah. Well, and that policy, I'm sorry, Lynn, if I can just finish. That policy where we need some input in is where we're allowing them, scholars have asked, and the executive committee agreed that they should be allowed to bring a guest. So I think that's where we put that in. And then a question was raised, well, what's the financial impact if we're providing, say, the food or the drink, or what have you? Are there any financial considerations when there's a lot of scholars, if you think of the thing? So I think that's where, again, we need everyone's thoughtful review and suggestions, on that. And I think they should do one event per year, not just one in their 3 time, because I think the seeing and hearing more about the scholars, to me, is what from bringing people into joining ARCS, they put the face on what we do. So that's just my personal bias. And Linda, I think you were trying to ask.
Well, I was just trying to observe that there is a policy right now that says they are required to attend the donor appreciation and the spring scholar event and to write thank you notes. And I think a lot of people have been missing. So I don't know whether that policy is being enforced, but I think that the idea of having them commit to one more event is a great idea. And I think if these policies aren't in writing, they should be.
I would,
We were
I would
talking-
agree with you, Linda. I think, when you're giving away $5,000, that's very little to ask in return. And it is good, as Ann said, it is the face of what we're doing. And I think it's an excellent idea.
And just to clarify, we're talking about one additional event, such as a program or a recruitment event, in addition to the ones they're already required to. Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay,
I mean, it also kind of implies that we need a funnel so that there aren't various members asking scholars. It really needs to go through scholar relations. So
It
you know,
does. It does. Usually someone will email myself and Maria, and then we
Okay.
go and ask the scholars. But it's just been increased recently in the
Yeah.
number. Mhm.
And I presume, Michelle, that you keep a running checklist so that you're not asking the same scholar repeatedly.
We
they-
just
they-
put out a general call for scholars. So if anyone wants to volunteer more than once, that's on them,
Okay,
right? That's fine. If they want to come more than once, that's great. It really gets their face in front of our donors and members, which is wonderful, and get to know them a lot better. But I'm saying that just require one event.
yeah,
per-
I
per
understand.
scholar.
I understand. I just don't want any one scholar to feel overburdened because they've been to 6 things, because they're willing to, that maybe they feel.
We'll
that-
make that clear.
And I think part of the increased activity is just because we're coming out of COVID and we're activating, programs again. So it's not that we're necessarily asking the scholars to do more. It's just where there are more opportunities for them to participate.
None of these scholars, though, were here before COVID, so they're not aware. But I think just making it a policy that they have to attend at least one would also get them comfortable with meeting the members and donors. Anu has her hand raised.
Michelle, I just wanted, so when we have programs, do I run it by you that we'd like the scholars to attend, or are you just going to include them in their responses? Should I be telling you we would like the scholars to attend, like Jody's event?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
well, good, I'm sorry, Angie, good discussion.
Email goes out then, maybe at the bottom of every email that's asking scholars to attend is to reminder that in addition to the donor appreciation event, every scholar must participate in one other event. Because otherwise, if they keep seeing all this stuff and they're not reminded that they really do have to participate in one additional beyond the original donor appreciation one, they might think they have to do 6. And if they're reminded it's 1, they would know that they don't have to do 6. And then those who don't do any will be reminded that they should do 1.
Well, good discussion, and I look forward to seeing your outcome of your review. Thank you.
A couple other updates. We have a national board meeting coming up next week in Arizona. We're actually going to have great participation from the Pittsburgh chapter. I think there are 5 or 6 of us going, so we'll report back if there's anything that that will be relevant, which I'm sure there will be for our chapter. One of the big initiatives is that we're starting a strategic planning effort, and one of the things that will be addressed is that is near and dear to all of our hearts is the permanent resident topic. So hopefully we can bring some resolution to that will be favorable for our efforts. And then after this meeting, the next in-person board meeting will be, if you aren't aware, in Pittsburgh. in June. So we will have folks from all of our chapters coming to Pittsburgh. So we're starting to plan for that. It will be the 8th, 9th, and the 10th. In conjunction with that, we made the decision to have the first night, June the 8th, be a celebration for the Pittsburgh chapter's 20th anniversary. So we're going to have a dinner that's inclusive of all Pittsburgh chapter members, as well as all of the guests from around our other chapters, invite our other supporters, and make it a fundraising activity. So we have already been recruiting, and many of you on this phone call are probably part of the team that are looking at planning for that event, because it's only 5 months away now. And as we all know, these types of fundraising events take a lot of time and effort if we want to do a nice invitation and plan a nice dinner and solicit sponsorships, which is gonna drive the success of it being a fundraiser. So
Linda,
yeah.
I just put on your list, Bridget Bouchat, she would like to be part of that committee, or she expressed some interest.
Fabulous.
What, if you wanted to reach, I don't know who's in charge of the planning, but
Fabulous. We will add her, to the list. I think we included
Okay.
as one of the attachments, kind of the planning committee roster. So we'll make sure to add her to the list. And the
okay.
last thing that I quickly wanted to mention is that annually, all of the chapters are eligible to select one one member of their chapter who has been exemplary in their effort and dedication to ARCS. And it's called the ARCS Light Award. And so part of your package is a nomination form. I'm asking all of you to give consideration. You can see who in our chapter on that form. There's a list of all the people previously who have received the award from our chapter. So we need to think of somebody outside of that list that you think is eligible and worthy of consideration. And then we have put together a team of 5 folks who will review these nominations and make a recommendation for our ARCS Light. It's a nice honor that National does for each of the chapters, and it's worthy of us spending a couple minutes to give some thought as to who is well deserving of that award. I think that's it on President's Report. So I'm going to turn it over.
Linda has a work.
When I received the attachments for this meeting, the files were corrupted for that and communications. I couldn't open them. Did other people have that problem? I was just going to suggest that you might want to resend those.
Okay, we'll do a separate email. Annie, you're muted.
You're muted.
Annie, you're muted.
I had the same problem on my MacBook, but I was able to open them on my iPhone. I don't know why one went through and the other one had a little
Okay.
thing that we cannot open this file.
Which
All
were the 2 again?
My MacBook did not work, but
No,
my
I meant the 2 policies.
iPhone,
Which files couldn't you open?
oh, the first 2.
It was communications and the
Yes. Yes.
those 2 were not. We couldn't open.
Okay,
All
so
right.
Sarah knows which ones to resend.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we'll get those back out.
I heard communications, but the other one, I couldn't hear what you said.
The
The
ARCS
light-
Light form.
Light
Okay.
award form.
Got it.
All right, now, Joanne.
Okay, Sarah, can you bring up the, I think we're starting with the financial report at this point, right? Oh, no,
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So there is a document that's an Excel file. And it shows what, yeah, that's the right one. It's the December numbers. Okay, and there's a column here added for January estimated, because we got a number of donations at the very end of the year, and some of them weren't deposited until the beginning of January. So I wanted to take those into consideration for what we would be able to decide for new scholar awards. So you're seeing a December column and a January 23 estimated column. The number of the amount of scholar donations over the past 6 months is 25,230, which is in column L there. That is below our budget. We had hoped for a higher level, but there were a number of people who didn't give in 2022, or they're not showing as 2022. And so we have to continue to scrub for those people. Because when I did the analysis, I was showing that we had 11 people that didn't re-up. And one of them has been resolved apparently from a double payment of dues in the past year, but we've got to work through that. And this is a coordination between membership and fund development and treasury, because a lot of things have been changing with the pledge amounts, and the pledge donations don't come in on this line at this time, but the people have to pay some of their dues in that pledge. And so we need to do, there's a little bit of noise in the system until we get all that separated out between what is pledge money and what is dues money. Anyway, so that's the number, and it worked out. If you looked at just the people who are members, the average member renewal was $696. If you take the dues of $175 out, the average was $520. So that gives you some idea of where we are on what's been pledged. We do have a breakdown on the dues, which I'll get to in a couple lines. Okay, so the next couple lines haven't changed at all. We got a very nice grant in honor of a new from the Pittsburgh Foundation, PNC Foundation, and that's the 5,000 on line number 7. We still don't know who this person is, Carolyn Velama, who sent us $300. So I'm holding it right now as a restricted donation until the end of the year. And if we don't figure out who or what it's supposed to be for, I'm going to put it into scholar funding. We've definitely done very well at birthday money. The birthday money went up by about $1,000, so we're now up to $2,915 as of the end of December, and this is where people have given money to celebrate people's 80th birthdays. I think there's more of that program is to come, I understand. So that's been a real positive thing. And then the next thing is on membership dues, and we're showing $14,770 in dues, and that represents, and then there's 350 that's come from pledges paying their dues. That represents 86 renewals or new members paying dues. And the way that's calculated is when somebody makes a donation, let's say they make a magna cum laude donation of $1,000, we apportion $175 for dues, and the rest of it goes into the Scholar Fund donations on the top line. So we're doing okay. I know the question was asked at the last meeting, and I did do the breakdown. The amount of the $14,770 that applies to endowed is $3,850. And that represents all but 2 situations where people have been making, they make their endowment payments to the university, but they also make dues payments directly to the chapter. And of the now 25 members who are endowed donors, 23 of them paid their dues for the in 2022. And I need to run down the other two. One of them, there's a question about whether it was paid or not, and the other one I don't know anything about. So those are other issues to like scrub between membership and treasury and funds development. Moving down further.
Oh, Joanne, I'm sorry. Before you move down, I had a question on the $696, the average giving. Is
Right.
that lower than past years, or are we holding our own?
I think it's probably about average.
Okay,
I think.
I think it's a little bit lower, and it's probably because we've shifted more to dues. I think you have that number calculated
It's on the bottom of.
on the
yeah.
bottom of the spreadsheet. So I think it is a little bit lower. So I think it's, you know, the number dropping is a combination of a bunch of things. We've got people, we have more and more people who are now in the endowment category who only have to pay dues. So therefore they're not having funds come through this. We have some fewer members, and the average contribution, because we've shifted more to dues, is a little bit lower.
I was concerned that changing the level of giving, you know, moving up what is a cum laude to magna, was there some impact that people just didn't feel they could make that stretch? And rather than move up, they just said, well, then I'll just give $600, you know, rather than what they were giving for $500, rather than what they were giving before. So thanks.
I think you're right, Ann. What I've been noticing is I get all the receipts is almost everybody's renewed at $500. And in the past, most people put some premium on it. Now, obviously, the premium in the past was $500, one of the premiums. So I think that people are adjusting to the new total dues level. And I'm hoping next year we'll be able to get people to go to the premium categories. But I think we only have 2 or 3 that went premium. It's a very.
Actually, I did the breakdown. We have people that did Dean's List is 36 people. And the cum laude, which is $750, is 4. And magna cum laude, we have 7 people. And summa cum laude, we have 3. So we do have people giving more, otherwise the average wouldn't be above 500. But we also got 3 new scholar alums. They only pay $175. And then we have 2 people who are under 40, and they pay $250, $175 of which we apportion to dues. So we still do have some, and I don't think there were some 600s, which gets them back to Dean's List, because we raised it from 600 to 750 but the other categories of magna cum laude, which is 1,000, I think people held to. And then if you're at 1,500, it's summa cum laude, and we had 3 people in that category.
Yep.
But those, I think at least one of the persons in that category is on their way to moving into an endowed award. So.
Yeah. So I was really interested in the cum laude level to see how many, went from the, did we have 10 before, now we only have 4 because they just went down, but that's maybe a discussion for another day. Sorry, Joanne, just.
Okay.
Joanne, this is Jean.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to ask you to repeat because my phone was ringing at the time you were speaking.
Okay.
You have a couple of endowed donors that have not paid their dues. I thought everybody was paid.
One there's a question about, and one I don't think they've paid, but that's the thing I would need to scrub with you.
All right, well, let me know because I thought everybody was up to date. So let me know.
Okay.
Jean, it's Leslie Fleischner has not paid, so I don't know what we want to do about that. And I have been supposed to follow up with Kathy Testoni because we have a recorded payment which she hasn't paid maybe. And Joanne, I really will follow up on that. Sorry,
All
not
right,
for doing that.
I'll follow up with Leslie. And then let me know, if the thing with Kathy is resolved. Okay,
Yeah, the thing with Kathy is strange because we've been getting other payments from Kathy for birthday checks and
Mhm.
host committees and things like that. We have a similar situation with Thea Stover of not having paid her dues, plus she paid less into her pledge, and so it's just not, it's all murky.
Yeah, well, she's had a lot of things going on in her life with flooding down there in Bonita Springs and her house underwater and so on. So
Oh,
she's
dear.
probably been missing a
Yeah,
lot of
that's-
things
that-
through the cracks.
That's really why I haven't reached out to her recently. I was giving her time to dry out. But I will.
And there is a transition that will be handholding that will be required for all these people who have been named award donors. And so they're used to not having to pay dues separately. So I'm sure that might be the case with Kathy Testoni. She's been a name donor for so long, she hasn't had to worry about separate dues. So.
Well, they'll need
Yeah,
to
and in
get
the
most
case
of
of-
those, if I can just a bit, most of those, my recollection as assistant treasurer came in through their HRA. So to separate out that payment to do into 2 installments, I mean, they're gonna have to work through that allocation change with the merit prize or, whichever fund they were having those contributions, come in. So
So you're saying they were qualified charitable distributions out of their IRAs?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and we have one member who does it monthly. So I know that I know the intent, of separating out the dues from the named awards, but from a transactional basis, it's gonna double the work on the admin side of keeping track of those payments.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, let's see if I have any other comments. If we move down this report to the expenses, there really is nothing so significant. I think we paid the insurance payment of $1,133, but that was in November, so we've already talked about that. The only other expense coming is on a regular basis is the administrative assistant, and that's all been within budget. So we're in good shape on an operating expenses. I haven't heard, I've reached out to the auditors. We don't have the review done. They sent us a question back in November, and we answered it, and they still haven't come back with a draft of our 2020 fiscal year 22 review. So we're doing more checking on that. Going over to the next page, or moving down, which is in the balance sheet. We still have plenty of money in all of our various accounts. That's in the assets there, and that'll come into play when we talk about the distributions for future funding. So moving down a little bit further, just some statistics of where we are, and this answers one of the questions Anne had before of the number of average donations. Now, the very last line there, line 72, average contributions, non-pledged members. I have in there 696, which I'm not sure, Linda, when we did this, we were including dues or not including dues?
I thought we excluded them in the prior years. Is there
Okay, that 696 number less the dues would be 520.
Right.
So that is running a little bit below.
Right.
Okay, and that was Linda's comment before. That's all I have on this. There is a-
Let's go to your other sheet, which
Okay.
is the meat of our discussion today.
Right. Okay, so could you bring up the other ARCS Pittsburgh funds available for scholar awards?
Can you see that or no?
No, we're still on
Okay.
the.
Let me
sheet.
stop share. Okay, hold on 1 minute. Let me. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Can you scroll up just a little bit or scroll up to the? Yeah, there. Okay, so we discussed this particular exhibit, which at the last board meeting, so hopefully it makes sense to people now at this point. But the idea here was to look at all the different scholar awards that we have in existence today. And the yellow ones at the top of the page are those that are being funded by endowed pools. And the heavier shading, like the darker orange, shows when a new scholar starts, in what fiscal year a new scholar starts, because those awards keep going in perpetuity, so they will be out there every year for forever. And we now have 10, although one doesn't start until the fall. You agree with that, Jean?
Yes.
All right. So then in the middle section of the page were the existing named awards. And what's in the boxes is showing what funds have to come from the chapter to pay these awards, because if it's a named award, the money comes into the chapter and then we send it back out to the schools to pay for it. So we are halfway through fiscal year 23. And the column G shows that we still have money to pay out for those scholars. We still have money coming in from pledges. So for example, on line 17, there's the Nimick Forbes Way Foundation will give us $5,000 in fiscal year 23. And we still have some money coming in from one of the named awards from the one that's with Anu and Natalie Hoffman and Marilyn Brushy. And so that one, we still have 2 more payments. We have several payments coming from Natalie, but we have more payments coming in on that award. And then moving down further on line 24 is the one I have another payment to make of $2,500. And then there's another one from Lacey Carroll, who's paying another third on one of them. The rest is coming from the chapter. So between, so figuring out that level of funding from all those different things, can you take the gray off, Sarah? Just click someplace else on this, there, thanks. Okay, so scrolling down, the column W shows what is the future commitments that the chapter has to make to support all of these awards. And that total is $210,860. So what we looked at with that is that those are our future commitments. And we also put in an annual operating reserve of roughly 20,000. So we have cash needs of about 230,000 to fund existing commitments for scholars plus operating expenses for 1 year. And we have the various sources, which are listed there, the checking account, PayPal, money market, Fidelity, T. Rowe Price. So we have sources of 277,000. And Sarah, if you would just scroll down a little bit further. Thanks. Okay, so we have 46,000 $46,640 of available funds, which would support 3 scholar awards at $15,000 a year, or $15,000 per award. Does that make sense? So
Yep.
the award has future funding commitment of 15,000 because it's 5,000 over 3 years. So we can tell the schools that we have enough capability to fund 3 new awards.
Correct.
Okay?
Joanne, this is Jean. I have a question. If you scroll back up, Sarah, a little bit, on the named awards, just to clarify, the 3 named awards that you are still expecting funding in, starting with line 17, you're expecting funding from the donor on those 3 awards. Is that or 4 awards? 4
Right.
awards.
Yes.
So in the next column where you're showing $5,000 still owed on those, is that $5,000 on those awards, on all those awards, coming from chapter money
Yes.
or donor money?
No, it's coming from chapter money because the chapter gets the money for named awards in the year prior, just like with endowed pools. You get the money in the fiscal year prior. So for example, for mine, which is on line 24, I still owe 2,500, which is half of the award for my scholar, Nicole, but she is only a 2nd year scholar, so she will start her 3rd year in the fall. So in that fiscal year of 24, the chapter has to fund that $5,000.
Okay, but in most or all of those cases, you expect that $5,000 to be reimbursed later by the donor. Is that correct?
No, the reimbursement is coming in the prior year.
Actually, not
okay.
for the ones that are still out for, you're right about the ones that finish this year, but not for the others.
Okay, thank you.
According to my records, they all finished this year.
Yeah, I have a question, Joanne. We do have a pledge for 1/3 of a named award. Is that pledge in these numbers?
No.
Well, the reason I ask that is that if we can't fill the other 2, the chapter will need to fill in that 2/3.
Correct.
And that money will come in. It's pledged. This pledge is signed, so it should be counted.
Right. But even if we add 5,000 to the 46, that's not going to get us up to another full award.
Okay. But I still think we need to be aware that we do have that 2/3 that we need to fund.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, any money that's come in is at the bottom there. Sarah, if you scroll down in that sources as of January 23, if the money's already been donated and we have it in our checking account, we've already accounted for the fact that we have those funds.
Right. But what Linda's referring to is we have a new pledge. So we have another receivable that hasn't been assigned to a scholar yet.
Right.
Do you have a signed document yet, Linda?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Great. So that would add another $5,000. So that would take it up to 51, but that's still, I don't think is enough for us to boost up our awards to 4.
Right.
Well, I was wondering, Linda, does that, if the chapter has an increased liability, because that 2/3 wasn't meant, does that decrease the amount of available funds so that we should only be thinking of 2 new because we have this 1 or only 1 new?
No, because I think it comes out of those other monies. It's a mix of the.
Oh, okay. Okay,
it's all
thanks.
blended in there.
All I was trying to see, first, to remind everybody that we have, that. But second, I agree with Linda. But I wanted to mention it to see if it did change the amount of the awards. Yes,
our 2/3 will have to go to that, but that's neither here nor there. It does say, however, that we would have 3 awards. One of them will be a named award between Leslie Dunn and the chapter. Unless I can get 2 fill-ins, which hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Could I just say something too? This 277,000 that we are looking at now includes the T. Rowe Price and the Fidelity accounts. If you go back and look at the numbers that were presented on the financial statement, we'll see that between September and December, the values of those changed by, I would say, $11,000 to the positive, which means we have $11,000 more than we had in September in those 2 funds based on market activity. And as we all know, market activity is erratic. And this past year was a disaster in both the stock and bond markets. And the 2 funds that are in Fidelity and T. Rowe Price are balanced funds, which means they are affected by stocks and bonds. And the bond market last year was the worst ever. So, which was supposed to be, bonds are supposed to be your ballast in terrible times, and they were terrible too. I think we cannot look at the money that's sitting in those 2 accounts and say it's there. I think we have to give some slack for the idea that it might not be there, not to the extent that it's there now. And so I think we should keep that in mind when we're making these commitments, that the money may or may not be at the level that we're currently looking at.
Angie, that is an excellent point. And as our sources of money kind of deplete, as we've been whittling down our money market fund over the last couple of years, these 2 investment accounts are more critical to watch. And I'm actually thrilled that you're back monitoring these funds, because maybe we don't want to have that much exposure anymore. And I'd be open for us to maybe slowly deplete some of these funds and take them to more stable, non-fluctuating investments.
And that's something that probably your investment committee should be talking about at some point. But let me tell you, last year, I'm looking at here, the T. Rowe Price Fund was in the top 10 funds out of the top 10% of all funds. And the other one, the Dodge and Cox funds, was even higher. So, I mean, these funds were really well-performing funds, and yet they lost money. So, so it's a possibility we may want to think about turning some of this into cash, but also we have to remember we don't want to sell at the bottom and buy at the top. That's not good either. So we have to make a plan if we decide to do this, and we can't just say, okay, take it out and be done with it. We have to make a plan if we're going to do that. So my only point of bringing this up is that we cannot decide that this is money that's going to be there, because it might not be.
Yep. And we need to put that on an action item, because I think that is worthy of a separate discussion about where to keep our cash these days.
Linda, this is Jean again, and I apologize for being thick on this. I really do. But I'm looking at the 98,000 in chapter funding for 2024 that's obligated out of the chapter for funding in 2024. And about 45 or 50,000 of that is connected to named awards. And so that's actually may pass through the chapter, and the chapter may have to front the money or something, but that isn't that money already covered by donors?
Yeah, and it's already in our checking account because we collected ahead of time.
All right, so when you add that if it's already, are we double count? I mean, I'm sorry, but
No,
if,
we're not, because so these are our net obligations, the 210, and we currently have, and that includes the $12,000 of essentially receivables that we have for future collections on named awards. So our net future obligation for scholars, including the $3,000 match amounts on the endowments, is $210,000. So
okay, so
plus the operating reserve, less what we have in cash gives us an excess of the 46.
and the 46,000 that we're looking at would be for new chapter awards, not for new
Correct.
named awards. The named awards are separate.
No, that,
No?
well, yes, the named awards would be separate, but we only have a third. So yes, we need to add, we could add $5,000 to that 46 to take it up to 51. Because that's all we have.
Right.
Yeah, but the 5,000 is reserved for a named award.
Correct.
So we can't
So
use it
once-
for, yeah.
Well, so one of those, if we turn that named award, or if we use that, which we will, to a named award, it'll be right now 1/3 named and 2/3 chapters. So one of those 3 awards will be a hybrid named award.
Yeah, unless we get the 2 other people.
Correct. Which Linda is working, I'm sure, very
I
diligently.
know she
to
is
do.
feverishly.
So, so we have 3 on top of, as in case you missed it, in the schedule. This schedule, by the way, is fabulous because it incorporates all the pieces of information we need to make the decision. You can see on line 38, we have highlighted how many awards we have by school. So we've got in K, we have currently 11 chapter awards. We have for CMU, 10 for Pitt. We have 1 at Children's Hospital, which is kind of a subset of Pitt. We have 5 endowed scholars at CMU and 4 at Pitt, totaling the 31. That's our current existing pool of scholars. And as Joanne pointed up higher on the schedule, we have 1 current endowed award that is will be rolling over to a new scholar this year at CMU. And we have a brand new with the Armor new endowment. So we'll have 2 awards this year that will come out of the endowments that will go to CMU. So our decision is, how do we want to allocate the 3 that we're doing for the chapter / named awards that we're going to offer this year?
Well,
And
preferences don't matter. I think that Leslie prefers Pitt.
well, my initial, I'm going to throw something out there, and just so we start the discussion rolling, I would suggest we do 2 for Pitt and 1 for CMU out of the 3 that are the chapter / named awards.
You know, I didn't look at this from the standpoint of going forward. Which ones roll off in what year? I don't have a preference. I think your thought of 2 at Pitt and 1 at CMU is fine, because I think the endowed awards, which will keep going, are going to be slanted toward, apologies, they're doing yard work out here. Let me go. I got the door to the patio open. Anyway, I was thinking that because the endowed awards, which are permanent, are already scheduled 6 for CMU and 4 for Pitt, right?
Correct.
Right.
And we'll have another one for Pitt next year. So.
Right.
if-
But
Yeah,
as far as new scholars,
right.
there will only be 2, CMU will only have the opportunity to name provide 2 new awards out of the endowments. And I think, part of what we want to perpetuate is kind of an even flow of, bringing in new scholars from each school every year. And, obviously we don't have the luxury of picking and choosing the endowments because they kind of came in when they came in. But so I think, and we have a separate schedule, which we don't need to get into today, that looks in the future of when new awards rotate. And actually you have that on your highlights up above, but
I actually sent that to Sarah last night so that we could look at it under my report. If you wanted
Right.
to look at it, we could
well,
do that.
and I don't think that's necessarily relevant for this particular decision.
Yeah.
So I think the important thing is we're only going to have 2 new scholars out of the endowments this year, and they're both at CMU.
I think it makes sense to try to even the landscape as much as possible in terms of our relationship with the universities and the support of the scholars. So I agree with your analysis.
So I'm recommending two for Pitt, 1 for CMU. Any further discussion on that? Are we ready to take a vote?
Am I allowed to vote?
I'm
That's
sorry,
Angie.
I'm looking at
I'm-
the schedule.
I'm-
Who's
I'm
talking?
Angie, and I'm just asking if I'm allowed to vote. So I think I can't, I think I have to step back because I have a degree from Pitt and my husband was provost at Pitt, so I'm not saying a thing.
Okay,
I don't think that disqualifies you because lots of us on this board have relationships with the one or more of the universities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then I will vote.
any further discussion? Are we ready for a vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Linda,
Yeah,
could that be subject to the receipt of new funds within a month?
yes, we can revisit this. I think we have done that in the past, so yes, we will be happy to revisit this if some, for instance, if you round out that named award. Yes.
Yeah, if you round out that named award, then we get an additional chapter award out of
Another
this.
full
Yeah.
scholar, yep. So subject to additional funds that might come into ARCS through the end of February. I am making a motion that we allocate 3 new awards from ARCS this year, 2 going to the University of Pittsburgh and 1 going to Carnegie Mellon.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor?
I
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Thank you, Joanne. I know what work you've put into this, and I really do. I do want to acknowledge, I love this new schedule with all the scholars. It makes it very clear what our obligation is going forward and where the money's coming from. And so I know this was no small task to pull this together, so appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to committee reports. Becky, are you still, yes, you're here.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say the reports are there for you to read. Big thing with membership coming up is on January 25th. We've scheduled a Zoom meeting with new members, and and it's going to be at 7 p.m. in the evening. And this is an orientation to ARCS. Ahead of this meeting, we sent out a package with the annual report from ARCS National with the paper program from the October events, and with a letter welcoming them into the organization and with an agenda. I would like to have as many board members on this call as possible. And just, we are starting with 2 scholars who have volunteered to just briefly introduce themselves and their research. And those 2 scholars are Kelly Spar, who's been very agreeable to do extra, and another a male scholar, I think his last name is Colin. So they'll start, and then Linda and I will talk about the mission of ARCS, and just an introduction, and hopefully Anu has agreed to talk about programming and her committee and what all is involved with that. And it's just a way to try to get these new members to sign up for committee work and be part of the committee, if not a member of the board. So that that's what we're hoping to accomplish. So please, you'll be getting an invitation for this call, so be looking for it in your email. And if you could, we're going to hopefully keep it at an hour, and from 7 to 8, and just as a way to have inclusion for the newer members. We didn't invite the whole membership. It's basically a group of new members, and then whoever on the board can participate. Linda and Ann, do you have anything to add to that?
No, other than I was pleased that 2 new members came to our event the other night, which was fabulous. And we had 1 or 2 prospective members there. So I
Yes,
think
yes,
having these in-person events again, hopefully will also get people engaged. And both of our new members were lovely, and I think they'd be great to get on a committee if we can pinpoint what their interest is. Beth, you were waving.
I am. Becky, do you have any opportunity in this program to just talk about the website a little bit so people are familiar with it, new members? Can we have just 5-10 minutes just to say, here's our website, here's what you do, here's where you can find things?
Would you be available to do that, Beth?
I know after I opened my mouth, I forgot to look at my calendar first.
Yeah, but I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
That would really be helpful. And I think that I don't know what the response is, but we'll be sending out the invitation, via email, and hopefully the 9 to 11 new members that we included will be able to be on the call.
Becky, what's the date again?
It's Wednesday evening, January 25th, from 7 to starting at 7.
I think this is great. Good job.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Ann and Linda met with Linda and me and put it together. And so I appreciate that help very much. Also, as far as membership goes, we have, just aside from the report, there's about 98 members at this point. And we have maybe 4 or 5 members who have not responded to rejoining. So I don't know whether to send them a sorry to see you go note, but I have tried email, calling, and the US mail. All 3 of them, we sent out paper applications with return postage, thinking perhaps that the website was a barrier for some people. And I think I actually had one of those returned with the address was undeliverable. So, that's, you know, I don't, want to be, you know, I don't want to be a pest, but.
Yeah, I'd say we let
I
them
really
go.
appreciate-
And we
I
pick-
really appreciate Sarah keeping track of all the members, and she has a complete membership list that she sent to me yesterday from nominating for the nominating committee report. So that I really appreciate her support with this.
I say we revisit those folks next summer when we're looking at our renewals again for next summer and pick up the people who may have dropped off for a year for whatever reason and go back out and see if they want to rejoin.
Can I say something? One of them is Jean Van Briesen, who was a founding member of our chapter and is one of the first National Hall of Fame awardees. And I've reached out to her and haven't heard anything back. So I think, Jean, I think we should gang up on her. There's no reason why she should not continue her membership, or we think about making her an honorary member of our chapter. So,
Well, I
but
have,
particularly since our 20th anniversary is coming up and she's a National Hall of Fame
Right.
awardee.
Right.
I think we just
I
need
have,
to.
I sent her a paper application.
Yep. Yeah, you said that.
I sent her emails, and I have left just phone messages. So,
Yeah, I think we need to, Beth, I agree. I think that you and I'll try to do something with her and see if I have any luck at all. Or work through Cindy Crimmins and see if there's anything going on in Jean Van Briesen's life that is, you know.
yeah,
right.
is she of
Exactly.
advanced age? I
No.
don't know her. She's not.
No.
Okay.
I mean, no more advanced than the rest of us, which is not
Right.
saying.
Well, you know, but
All right, we'll put that on our action item list.
Is there any value in giving the rest of those names out during this board meeting that somebody else knows something
Yeah.
about somebody? Because I know that I was not part of the committee that said, oh, we have these people, we don't have these people. And I came up with like 11 people that haven't made a payment in the last year. And so I don't understand, I'm concerned that there are other people that might be in that pot too.
okay.
Could
The
you,
people
Becky, could you give us the names? I mean,
names, I
all
have
three
Jean,
people I contacted told me they renewed because I asked them to. And I think that even you have a personal connection that you can do that.
right.
I agree with Joanne and Linda. I think if you share the names, then we could see if we know them and ask.
Yeah.
people.
Okay, well, okay. I have Jean Van Briesen, Dawn Rucker, Carol McCaig,
Oh,
Deborah Callahan. And those are the ones that I have. Jeanette Woolley was on the list, but she responded and she joined. And I, let's see, and Julia Gleason was on the list and she's joined. So those were the 6 members that I had not, that
You
I
only
had not
gave us
heard from.
4. You gave us
So right,
Reason,
Yeah.
McKay, Callahan, somebody else.
Rucker.
Deborah Callahan, Carol McCaig, Dawn Recker, and Jean Van Briesen.
That's 4. Are there more?
Right.
We don't know the difference between Joanne's 11, so I think Joanne,
Okay,
if you could
Yeah.
maybe put in an email 11, and then we can work with
Yep.
No,
Sarah to reconcile.
Sarah's already reconciled them and she sent out that list to Becky. So
I mean,
it's
we need
down
get it
to
to
that.
Joanne, but I mean, I'm concerned where Joanne said she had 11, and I've worked also with Becky and Sarah, and we have 4. So I don't know who the other 7 that Joanne has.
well, I can tell you, I have, of that 11, the 4 that she just named, okay?
Okay.
The other ones I have, and this one came up during nominating committee, was Sue Breedlove, but I understand that she has
First came in.
first came in. Okay. And then there's Laura Capiopo.
Who?
CACIOPPO, Laura Capioco. She was on the member list that was on the website, but I
Yeah.
didn't have a payment for her.
I believe that she said she was not interested in renewing her membership.
Okay. And then I have Susan Clancy.
He resigned.
You resign.
Yes, she resigned.
I have Christine Cohen.
She
She
resigned.
res-
Yes, she resigned.
I have Maureen Cohen.
Maureen Cohen, I called her again and and Jerry was there and he said that the check is in the mail. Basically, they pay out of a fund at the end of the year. And
Okay.
I think, so if you don't hear from her by the end of the month, I'll ask her again, but
Okay.
she really, she's not interested in participating at any level. So I've tried to draw her in and get her, but she's not interested at this time.
She always pays at the end of the year. She's always a laggard.
Hi, it's Sarah. I picked up the mail last night and her check is in it.
Oh,
Yay.
yay. Thank you, Sarah.
I have two more names, Vicky Griffin.
Vicky Griffin is an honorary.
Okay.
Which means
She
no-
helped with the starting of the chapter and she lives in Seattle.
Okay. And then Barbara Ty, THAI.
She resigned,
Okay.
or she did not interested in being a member any longer.
Okay.
Becky, can I ask you, the Deborah Callahan, does she live on Fairview Road?
Morningside Avenue is what I have, 1636
Okay.
Morningside.
She was in our garden club, my garden club, and
Yeah.
they said that she was moving to California. Does that make sense?
Probably.
Okay, so then there it is.
I think Deborah Callahan's situation too is in the last 2 years, she had trouble with the website and double paid her amount. And in both cases, we refunded the double payment, the extra payment. And that happened in the last 2 years. I think Deborah Callahan was married to Jeff Callahan, who passed away a number of years ago, but he worked at Mellon.
Yep, I think you're right. Okay, we need to move on from this.
Okay.
Any,
I'll
I know-
reach out to Carol McCaig one more time. She's,
thank you.
Good luck.
And
Her-
you
I know,
and
she's
Gail-
extraordinarily difficult. But we go back a long way, so maybe, we'll see.
And you and Beth are gonna strategize on Jean Van Briesen.
Yeah,
Okay. I know nominating has met yesterday and I know you have a lot of work to do, so I'm not sure you need to give a
All right.
report other than our hearts go out to you because I know how much work it is and you're just getting started. So,
I'm
Definitely.
sure that
Um,
helps.
yeah. Here's a tissue.
Well, if anybody has a brainstorm, send me an email.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely. We need to all keep thinking because more hands make lighter work for everybody, as we all know. So I don't know that we want to say much about communications other than Ann and I have been kind of carrying the torch. We got a newsletter out. We have the blurb from the Tech Council that will be distributed to the membership. Ann, jump in.
Just two things, and I'll be very brief, is that and they do have a fiscal impact in that the plan is to do 4 newsletters quarterly. You'll see in the report. So that at $400 right there, instead of $1,000, it'll be $1,600. And we'll probably need to increase the communications budget when you think of costs related to the 20th anniversary celebration, but there'll be a fundraiser will cover those costs. But there is going to be an ask out to two, well, actually 3 groups. Programs, scholar relations, and membership, because we're trying to have regular topics in each of the newsletters, a spotlight on scholars, a spotlight on new members, and past and upcoming events. And then we can fill in with other articles of what key topics come out. So I will be, until we get someone that wants to come in and help with communications, kind of marshaling this through and sending out alerts and reminders to those committees, saying, here's what I need and here's the deadline, so that we can meet a publishing deadline with Jim.
Great. And we're also going to attempt to distribute the newsletter and our podcast with the Tech Council to people beyond our membership. So we want to send that out to our scholars. We're going to send it out to our university contacts and broaden the exposure to keep everybody in the loop. So thank you, Anne. Linda, anything else on fund development other than your 1/3 named award?
Not really.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. Keep working. I'm conscious of the time and I know we're all busy. So
Warrior here.
Jean, a quick, oh, sorry, the report went out late, but everybody did get an endowment report. Endowment is always very busy. Jean, a elevator pitch on what's going on.
Well, a brief elevator pitch, and then I do want to show you that one chart.
Okay.
But let me give you the elevator pitch first. 10 awards in place, 6 at CMU, 4 at Pitt, and we have commitment, not signed yet, but a verbal commitment for a brand new award for the following year, 23-24, a group of 4, including our own Beth Wainwright and her partner Russ Kemmerer as a separate partner in this award, and the Charlotte and Henry Buchema, and Cynthia Caro and Jim Kuiper. So that's a solid award that will be coming in for Pitt in 23-24. As Linda alluded to this, we did Ann Crawford. Thank you very much, Ann, for participating. And I did a podcast with the Tech Council, a half-an-hour show that was broadcast on their Tech Vibe radio. And it's now available on their website, and we will be sending a link to our membership and embedding it on our website so that people can access it. I've also been in touch with the communications director at the Tech Council about updating our blurb on their website and getting an article into their magazine. And we started a conversation with our contacts at Pitt and CMU to get the word out to the female faculty and administrators at both universities to try to get some members from the university world. And so hopefully that will impact both our communications outreach and our membership outreach by working with the Tech Council and with the our liaisons at the university. So Sarah, if you would quickly bring up that second sheet that I shared with you, I'd like to show that to people. You have that? Yeah, good. Yeah, this is the current situation. Linda Thier was very helpful in getting this started, and it kind of combines information that we had on a previous spreadsheet, but it shows you, it's the endowment summary. It shows you the 2 universities. It shows you the date each endowment was established, the running total of those endowments. So you can see that we currently have 6 at CMU and 4 at Pitt for a grand total of 10 at the moment. It shows you the donors to each endowment and the percentage of each endowment that they are giving. If they're giving 100%, we haven't listed that. The number of donors concerned in each award. So we have a total of 26 donors. One of them, Frederica Cryan, is not currently a member. So we have 25 members donating, 26 donors altogether. Then it shows you the scholar awards that have been generated and will be generated from these endowments. And they turn over kind of an odd way because sometimes scholars do not complete the full 3 years and they need to be replaced. So this is a running total. So right now in 22-23, you see, I'm trying to stretch across there, 2
Right.
awards at CMU and
3 at Pitt.
3 at Pitt, for a total of 5 endowed awards going on this year. And then if you scroll down, we have forecasted what happens in subsequent years, assuming that everybody stays on for 3 years. That can change, but assuming that everybody stays on for 3 years as a scholar, we end up with 23 Pitt awards by the end of 2030, and 12 Pitt awards for a total of 35. So hopefully we'll beef up the number of endowments at Pitt, and but I think 35 awards forecasted is pretty good. But I wanted to share that to you, and that's it for my report, unless somebody has a question.
Thank you, Jean.
You're welcome.
Anu, anything further on programs? We got your report that was in the package on the future activities.
Well, both of them have fallen apart, the ones that I was expecting. Mark is my neighbor and he was going to do the pit labs. I'm going to see if I can get him to help with somebody else coordinating a tour. And McGee just hasn't responded. And Arlene Sokolov, who's our member, had also reached out to them on our behalf, but the coordinator is just not biting, and she's just not coming back with a program in McGee's. They had it all lined up for us just before COVID, so I thought it would be an easy slot for them to do it, but we are either not connecting to the right person any longer, or she's just not responding accordingly. So I'm stuck for programs still, the one that we have with Sharon Feng in March. I was hoping to have something in February, but a tour or something. So I'll still try to reach out to Carol Moyer suggests a couple of things. I will just follow up on what she said. So that's that.
Thank you. Lacey's not here. I'm not aware of anything to report on university relations. Michelle, you have the floor.
So Maria sent in our report. Let me pull that up. So basically we have 2 scholars that will be attending the event later this month at the end of January. Emmanuel Leo Colón and Kelly Spar. Emmanuel is actually a new scholar, but he is really exciting to talk to the few times we have met with our scholars this year. So hopefully he'll be very dynamic and engaging, and Kelly is always a great fit with talking to members. So it'll be nice to have them at the event. And then we've created a doodle poll so that we can put together an event, probably just pizza and networking for just scholars. All these scholars came on board during COVID, and so they really don't know each other that well. They have been asking for ways to meet each other beyond just Slack and I guess creating their own get-togethers. Having something organized by us for people to kind of get together informally and is more laid back, I think would be really exciting for them. We also hope to do the thank you notes in person this year as well. So they'll have another chance to get together. But so we're trying to figure out a time sometime in late February, early March, probably in the evening on a weekday, it'll be easier. And otherwise, nothing else really from us at the moment for scholar relations besides the topic that I brought up earlier in the call about having them require to attend at least one member or additional event. So that's about it from our end for now.
Thank you.
Oh,
The only thing I would reiterate is what we talked about in communications. We'd really love to get some of the scholars to give us, some of their research, or if we could get them to just have some fun disclosures of things they do in their.
So I
spare
do have a few
time.
of those that replied from the last request. It just wasn't in time to get
Gotcha.
it out for this newsletter. So
Great.
I will go ahead and forward that. Who should I send that to? Just to Anne?
Sure.
Okay. And I'll forward those replies that I have. Also, scholars, a few of them have been updating their research or profiles and have sent them to me. I'm going to tell them just to go ahead and update that directly in the website, unless there's someone else that needs to be in charge of updating those profiles. Is it just the scholars to go in and update it?
I don't know how the profiles get updated. Beth, do you? On the website?
The scholars have their login. They've been given logins so they
Okay.
can update their profiles themselves. And they should.
Okay.
But if by chance you've got information and you want to send it to us, we'll just make sure that it's done.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
And if they'll share a fun photo or something that, Michelle, and what you're sending over, I'm hoping it'll be copy ready so you can use your editorial things. And, if we can have 4 to 6 scholars per newsletter, that would be great. I'm trying to fill up a page.
Okay.
I
And
think that would
photos
be
help. That'd be
great.
great.
Interest to the
Michelle,
members.
Do
Becky?
you have a place for these scholars to get together or to write the thank you notes? Because I live right in Oakland. And our condominium building does have a community room. And
Oh,
if
that would be great.
And if you gave me dates, or that, maybe I could check and see if I can reserve that and they could meet here. It's within
Perfect.
walking distance of both CMU and Pitt. So-
Okay. Yeah, no, that would be wonderful. We don't have an official place. We were thinking about just getting together at a park and getting pizzas there. But if we could get together in a location, especially February, March is
Right.
the weather can be still kind of tricky. That would be wonderful. And then for the thank you notes, that's now sometime in the spring. We'll need to come up with a date for that as well. Maybe we'll aim for late March, early April for the thank you notes. And we'll just tell the scholars then that they need to attend that to write them. But I will get you those dates, Becky. That would be wonderful to have.
Okay,
place to meet.
because they have tables and chairs and
Perfect.
a room. So it's, and I think as long as I give them to notice and they wear a mask coming in, that would work.
Thank
Okay.
you, Becky. That's a
Right.
nice
Thank you.
offer.
So-
Yeah. 2 other quick things related to scholars. Just to repeat something we've talked about previously, National is always looking to feature scholars around the country in the national newsletter. So to the extent, Michelle, you become aware through your conversations with the scholars that they're doing something cutting edge and really exciting that they want to broadcast, we need to communicate that to National. And secondly, along those same lines, Michelle, I think, February 15th, if I'm remembering the correct date, will be a ARCS forward presentation that will be featuring one of our Pittsburgh scholars. So everybody pay attention to that announcement that comes out and join that Zoom presentation, which will highlight Michelle, right? It's Michelle, Beth?
No, it's Stephanie Hellman.
Stephanie, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it's February 16th at noon and it's 1 hour. So you can watch and eat your lunch or do whatever,
Right.
but
Yeah, you can have
try
the
to
wrong
tune
date.
in.
Thanks for
Yeah.
correcting me.
Uh,
I had to look on my calendar.
Just as an aside, Stephanie's Hellman is also helping me with the DEI Standing Committee in putting together the bones of a bonus award program for scholars and mentor. So she's putting out a lot of tentacles and it's wonderful. Thank her.
All right, I think we're down to Beth. Thank you for
The last
updating.
one.
And thank you for updating the website. It looks great to you and Sarah. I know you've been working hard on that. Any, what else would
Yes,
you
I
like to
do.
share with us?
Just a quick elevator. We're done at the end of the meeting, so I don't have time to get your input today. But National is looking to revamp the website, potentially looking for a new platform for the content side. But we need feedback from chapter members. So I'm going to send some questions out about your usage, what you'd like to see differently, what's wrong with the website, what would you like, blah, blah, blah. And if you could get back to me with your thoughts on that, then I can share them with the IS committee while we look at where we want to go with the website, with the national website, which impacts each chapter website. So thank you.
Yeah, one of the, I think, cool things that they're considering doing on the national website, which is, it's a minor thing, but I think it'll make a big visual difference. Is they're going to put a map of the United States with dots with each of the chapter locations. And then rather than doing a drop down and finding Pittsburgh, you click on the Pittsburgh dot to get the Pittsburgh chapter information. So, something
Yeah, just
little
some
that
cool things.
that
Yeah.
will, I think, enhance the national website. Anything else?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Good job in getting us through.
sorry to rush you through, but I really want to be, I don't like meetings that go over an hour and a half. So what else have we? Carol Stockman, you have not even said a peep. How are you?
Good, thank you. Appreciate it. In accordance with trying to get us off the call quickly, but everything is good. Let me know if there's anything I can do or any committees I can help with.
Okay, well, we've got you on the national committee meeting for June.
Oh,
so-
actually, Linda, one thing.
Yeah.
The Hall of Fame, we have a new Hall of Fame inductee who will be announced at the January board meeting. And so that is exciting. And hopefully the Pittsburgh chapter will publicize that as well.
Good, very good. We will. Thank you.
One other thing, in my report, I failed. We did put out a year-end appeal, but to my knowledge, it got no response. So I'll double check on that, but it was a lot of work for no benefit.
Disappointing. Okay, well, I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you for all of your contributions, and we'll update kind of action items that came out of this meeting and be in touch with all of you. Thanks again. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.